Good evening and welcome to the City of Pasco Council meeting. The council thanks you for being part of our city government. At meetings, the city council takes formal actions on items, holds public hearings, and conducts other business of the city. Given the recent dramatic rise in COVID case rates within the community and due to the size of the council chambers and number of attendees, masks will be required for all attending the meeting in person, vaccinated or not. Agenda packets are available on the City of Pasco's website at www.pasco-wa.gov/agenda. And please note that the City Council meetings may be accessed through GoToWebinar. This meeting is also being televised live on Pasco TV, channel 191, on Spectrum Cable in Pasco and Richland, and is streamed on the city's Facebook page, website, and YouTube channel. This and previous council meeting video is available on the city's website. And lastly, the public may submit their comments and or questions by contacting the city manager or city clerk or using the feedback form on the city's website. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to announce, things are getting real or have been real serious in the spread of this virus. And I would just encourage everyone to continue to be safe and continue to use your disinfectant and just take the proper precautionary measures to ensure the safety of everyone, your families and your friends and everybody that you are encountered with. So with that, could we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Councilmember Alvarado.
Present.
Maloney.
I know he was present.
Yeah.
There you go, present.
Yep, there you go.
Milne.
Here.
Roach.
Councilmember Roach, are you on the line? Is she listed
Okay.
on?
Councilmember Serrano.
He gave a thumbs up. I think he might have a hard time muting.
Okay.
Unmuting.
So you did see him, Councilmember Alvarado?
Yes, he is here.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem Barajas.
Present. Also wanted to share, Councilwoman Roach is connected. She may be muted, not on her end.
Thank you. And Mayor Martinez.
Present.
Great.
So thank you for that. We do have a quorum, regardless of. Did somebody get up? No, there's Councilmember Serrano. Thank you. And then we are. You're still muted, Councilmember Serrano. We can see you now. And then Councilwoman Roach, I believe is on, and hopefully we'll get the technical. I can hear you now, Councilmember.
Now?
I can hear you now. So with that, if you would all please rise for the flag salute, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we're going to go to our consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by a roll call vote as one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If further discussion is desired by council members or the public, the item may be removed from the consent agenda to a regular agenda and considered separately. The first item is to approve the meeting minutes of the Pasco City Council meeting held on August 16, 2021, and the workshop held on August 23rd, 2021. Next is bills and communication, and that is to approve the claims in a total amount of $6,696,281.15. And next on the agenda is a budget adjustment for COVID-19 activity grants. And that is to adopt ordinance number 4545, amending the 2021-2022 biennial operations budget of the city of Pasco, Washington, by providing supplement thereto to provide additional appropriations in the city's general fund and ambulance fund for COVID-19 related activity, and further authorize publication by summary only. Next on the consent agenda is the Community Development Block Grant Annual Work Plan and Allocations. And that's to approve resolution number 4087, approving the program year 2022 Community Development Block Grant Allocations and Annual Work Plan. Next is the 2022 HOME Annual Work Plan and Allocations. That's to approve resolution number 4088, approving of the federal 2022 HOME Annual Work Plan and Allocation. Item F on the consent agenda is the change order number 2 to Columbia East Force Main Project, and that's to approve resolution number 4089, authorizing the city manager to execute change order number 2 to the construction contract with DW Excavation, Inc. for the Columbia East Force Main Project, contingent upon change order approval by our funding partner, the U.S. Economic Development Administration. Item G would be the Downtown Pasco Development Authority Board appointment, and that's to confirm the mayor's appointment to Thomas Gramboy to the position number 1 on the Downtown Pasco Development Authority Board, with the term effective September 7th, 2021 to December 20th, 2023. Pasco Public Facilities District Board reappointment, to confirm the mayor's reappointment of Spencer Gillette to the Pasco Public Facilities District Board to position number 3, with the term expiring on July 14th, 2025. And that is the last item on the consent agenda. Is there anyone who has any objections to anything on the consent agenda before we do a roll call? If not, we have a roll call, please. Oh, excuse me, what am I talking about? I'm jumping ahead a little bit. If not, I would entertain a motion from the Mayor Pro Tem if you're ready.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve consent agenda as read.
Okay, there's a motion to approve the consent agenda as read. Do I hear a second?
It's Alvarado, I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Alvarado. So now we can do a roll call, please.
Councilmember Serrano.
Let's see here.
Yes.
There
Thank
we
you.
go.
Councilmember Alvarado.
Yes.
Councilmember Maloney.
Yes.
Councilmember Milne.
Yes.
Councilmember Roach.
Yes.
Perfect.
Mayor Pro Tem Barajas.
Yes.
And Mayor Martinez.
Yes, so it passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Next, we'll go to the proclamations and acknowledgements. There's none listed now except for, let's see here. Well, I'll wait for another agenda item. So none listed for proclamations and acknowledgements. And next, we go to visitors other than agenda items. So this item is provided to allow citizens the opportunity to bring items to the attention of the city council and to express an opinion on an issue. Its purpose is not to provide a venue for debate or for the posing of questions with the expectation of an immediate response. Some questions require consideration by the council over time, and after a deliberative process with input from a number of different sources, some questions are best directed to staff members who have access to specific information. Citizens' comments will normally be limited to 3 minutes each by the mayor. Those with lengthy messages are invited to summarize their comments and or submit written information for consideration by the council outside of formal meetings. So with that, I see that we have some citizens in attendance, and who would like to go first? Anybody would like to go first for a comment from the public? Good evening, Mr. Morales.
You already know me. That's good. Thank you for you guys to be here. Thank you for the time for me. This time I'm here to talk about you guys spend 6-7 million, whatever it is, in Peanuts Park, which to me is fine. And you guys have a master plan to do the downtown and do this and that. But I don't see you guys talking about the inside of the buildings. You guys have a bunch of buildings where we've been talking about this before, with a lot of code problems. So why the city council doesn't focus on that? Why not fix the inside of the building? I mean, I'm not asking for the city of Pasco to pay for it, but how about if you guys do some kind of loan program? Because you don't do anything by spending $7 million or $6 or whatever it is in Peanuts Park, and you don't do anything by doing the sidewalks bigger and making anything nice if nobody can come and rent those places because they are not up to code. You got me. My business is not going to make it. The only reason I got here is because I want the person behind me not go through what I'm going. I got 5,000 square feet, and I only can use 1,500. And like I said, I'm pretty much sure I'm not going to make it. But if the city council can come together, not in 6 months, not in a year, not in 3 years, come together and find some solution to fix the inside of the building. Because the problem in Pasco is not Peanuts Park, it's not the outside. The problem of the city of Pasco is they have a bunch of old buildings which are not the city codes, which I understand that you have to enforce the code. But if you don't do, what's good is that you spend $7 million in Peanuts Park when if I take my family, my 2 kids, my wife and me, let's go to Peanuts Park, and then when you get to Peanuts Park, what do? There's no breakfast, there's no coffee shop, there is none. The only thing my kids are going to see in Peanuts Park is going to be homeless. We all know the homeless problem, but I don't want to talk about the homeless problem. I want to talk about the inside. Nobody's asking for you guys to pay for it, but you have your lawyers, you have everyone. Why not get together and marry time? Not say, oh, we're going to talk about it, because I've been coming here for 2 years, and I haven't seen anything done. I mean, you guys did a great hire. You guys hired Mike Gonzalez. The guy is the only person in 2 years that I've seen that he actually cares about downtown Pasco. But what do you do by hiring 10 Mike Gonzalez if his hands are tied? There's nothing he can do about it because my restaurant is not up to code. The owner of the restaurant doesn't have the money or the credit to go and fix it. So why not the city take, I don't know, $1 million, $2 million, whatever it takes, and give loan to these people and say, hey, here's a loan. What do you need to fix? The electricity? Fix the electricity. What do you need to fix? The sprinklers? Let's fix the sprinklers. And I believe before any master plan or any fixing of the outside, you guys should focus on the inside. Because what happened when I leave that place? Nobody's going to rent it. Why? Because it's not up to code. So that means you're going to have another empty building, and we have plenty of those. So that is my request to you guys. I want you to guys, please, do not take 2 years. Please, do not take a year. Do something. Get together, get your lawyers, get everyone involved, and say, hey, by the way, we all know you guys have the money. You guys have the money. So just find a way to get it legally. I mean, because we all know you guys have the money. It's not like the city is broke or anything like that. We all know. The people that are in this circle knows that you guys have plenty of money to do this. It's the only thing you need is the intent and the effort to do it. But to make my point, and I'm going to finish, it makes no sense for you guys to spend $7 million in Peanuts Park. Who knows how many millions of dollars on the master plan when nobody can have any building in code. And then what's the point? What's the point to clean the inside, make everything fine when nobody can come in and open a business?
We got the point, Mr. Morales.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Okay, next.
Do I need to keep this on?
Yes, you have to keep your
Okay.
mask on.
I just wanted you to see my face. My name is Haley Harris, and I've been a Pasco resident for 14 years, and I love where I live. I'm kind of worried that the email that most of you got from me today scared the council away, and that's why maybe you're all at home. I don't know. But I wish you were here in person. I don't know where to look and who to talk to. So I'll talk to those that are here. But most of the all the council got an email from me, and some of you did too today, about the concerns on Burns Road. And the traffic that's there, and the lack of crosswalks and sidewalks. And this is a very, very serious concern. I was out there today as I watched tons of school students middle school, and elementary. I mean, more than I even thought while looking out my back window I would see. Walking through the sand and the tumbleweeds, walking where there was no crosswalk. I was driving, actually I decided to drive back there and watch as I saw a car stop on the south side, honk, 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 and two middle schoolers ran in the middle of the road across the street to jump into their car. I saw multiple cars pulling U-turns. This road is a hazard. It has to be fixed. And so the solution to that will be putting in sidewalks where appropriate and putting in crosswalks. Now, Mr. Worley and I have talked a lot about this, and I appreciate, you know what he's already done? He's already got one crosswalk in the works, and I want to give him full credit where credit is due. However, it's not the end. That's just the beginning. We need more crosswalks, and we desperately need sidewalks. Now, Mr. Worley, you and I talked today about how there might be some problem with the Franklin County Irrigation District. But my question is this. If you'd already proceeded as far to get bids, you must have had some kind of solution in how to address that. So, do you have a solution in that already? Because you made it sound a little bit like that was a big problem. But if you had gone as far as to get bids, then you must have already had a solution or some kind of way to deal with it. Now, I stand here today not to complain and ask for a magic, wand to be waved and for you to fix my problem. I stand here to be a partner. I stand here as a parent, as a mother, as a citizen, somebody who's caring about every single child at Columbia River Elementary and Ray Reynolds Middle School and begging you from the heart of a mother, please fix this. Help me fix this before a child is hit by a car. I talked with Commissioner Peck today, and he said he agrees. He says we need to get in contact with the Franklin Irrigation, and we need to talk to them and figure things out. Have we called them and asked them to come out? Have we met with them? We need to fix this problem, I beg you, from the deepest part of my heart. Please.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. And we did get your message, and we are, we're gonna do what we can.
Thank you. I know my
my
email came off in an email you can't really tell how
know.
a person is speaking, and I know it probably came off a little bit blunt and forceful, but just know that this was the heart that was behind it. Please.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You can't see the expression on my face. I was being sarcastic. We know how you ripped on us enough. We get it. But we are going to do whatever we can within our means to try to make sure, number one, that the safety is going to be there for the kids the way it is now. And we're going to move forward to do whatever we have to do. It is very difficult, but the safety of those children are a priority.
Can I just say this, that unfortunately, we can't always predict what's going to happen. We couldn't predict that inflation was going to happen. We couldn't predict that contractors were going to be scarce, okay? However, sometimes the consequence of our actions or our choices have negative effects on others. And I would ask for those that made the decision to deny the bid to take full responsibility, fall on your swords, and just say, you know what, we made a poor choice and we're sorry, but let's come together. Let's come together and let's fix this. And maybe sometimes we have to pay a little bit for our choices, and that might mean paying double the price to get this job done. I explained to Mr. Worley a little analogy is most of you probably have children. Let's say you're in a swimming pool with all your children, and they all want equal time. And all of a sudden, so you're with child number 1 giving him his 10 minutes, and all of a sudden child number 5 is drowning. Are you going to say, sorry, you need to drown because I need to give child number 1 my full attention? Or are you going to rush to the aid of that child and save them? And right now, Burns Road is the drowning child, and those children too.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. Appreciate it. Go ahead, sir. You're next.
Good evening. You've met my wife, and you've obviously read from my wife, Haley. And my name's Tim Harris. I'm her husband and longtime Pasco resident. And I just wanted to kind of express, obviously, the same concern is we just do not have the adequate access way for students that access that Burns Road, which is a 4-lane road. I'll come to you from a professional opinion. I work as a police officer in a different city and actually as a school resource officer and have for the last 3 to 4 years in a middle school setting, so directly what relates to this. I can tell you right now, in any of the 3 schools that I work in, we do not have any kind of a roadway that is impeding of traffic like Burns Road is. Okay, the bottom line is there's always access to both sides of the road where kids can walk safely. And that is not the case right now on Burns Road. And there is numerous kids, and many of your stakeholders, the highest priority stakeholders, are your children. And they're trying to get access to their homes in these neighborhoods where there's several hundred kids that go to these schools. But they don't have the adequate access way because there's not a sidewalk on that side of Burns Road. And there's not a crosswalk. There's not even a crosswalk that's marked on Road 100 in Burns because it's not completely met up. So what I'm asking you from a professional standpoint is to really take that in consideration, take immediate action, and put those sidewalks in place, get crosswalks that are indicated there on Burns Road. I do appreciate that they're at Road 95 that we're starting to get that crosswalk in, but we really need to really be considerate of that because that is a serious safety hazard. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Mr. Worley, could we at a minimum, I understand they're not gonna go in tomorrow, okay, we all know that, right? But at a minimum, is there anybody from the city staff that can make contact with the administration from those schools to ensure that there's adequate safety, like people, adults that can make sure that it would help for safety? Can we at least make contact, or have we done that?
We have done that already. I've talked to the school district and we have talked about the need that's out there now, and that's what prompted a lot of the things that are now in motion to try to get a second crosswalk in the middle of the schools, right where Road 95 would typically come across. And so we're going to start to look at that, and we're going to look at what other temporary ways we might be able to address the pathway issue. We know that it's been a problem. We know that the bids didn't come in like we wanted, and we're trying to think of ways that we can address it through this next winter.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Worley. Next?
Hi, my
Good
name is
evening,
Amy
Ms.
Phillips, and I'm actually on the school board, but I'm not here in my role as a school board member. But I do want to confirm what Mr. Worley said. You have been great to work with the school district. I believe you met with Mr. Sital this morning to talk about some of these things, and I do appreciate that proactivity on your part. We feel that you are great partners with us, and I thank you for that. My child does go to Ray Reynolds Middle School, and I have seen some of these things that scare me. So you've heard enough of what's going on. It sounds like that you're working on it. I'm hoping we at least get white lines with the crosswalk, and I know the sidewalks are going to take a little bit of time, at least a little bit. I do hope those bids go out right away because there is a safety issue there. I did put, so I don't know if you can see that. So this is the map that Haley actually sent you, Haley Harris. Reynolds Middle School, Columbia River Elementary. The only crosswalk on all of Burns Road, the whole entire thing, is right here next to Columbia River Elementary, okay? So then there's an easement right here where lots of kids just funnel through, and that's where there's a crosswalk going in right now. This one is probably the most dangerous area right here. The traffic is terrible. I'm hoping you're working on getting that traffic. A light, are you guys working on a light or a roundabout there? Or is that further down the road?
I don't think the decision's been made yet on that, but there are plans to do improvements at that intersection,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, this is desperate too, because I've even heard from bus drivers that are so frustrated trying to get on this road because it is so congested around our school hours, but there's also no crosswalk here. And so that roadway 84 is down here. It's exactly 0.4 miles from Columbia River Elementary, and it's 0.5 miles, half a mile from Reynolds. There's also no crosswalk there. I know that most of the elementary school kids that live out there go to Maya Angelou, thank you. They go to Maya Angelou. So I don't know, there's not as many elementary, but we still, Reynolds, I believe, is about 1,200 kids. And Columbia River is probably right around 600. So it's a pretty major thing. We have a lot of kids, like close to 2,000 right in this area. So I do hope that you continue to make this a priority. And I am, like I said, talking from a parent's perspective because of the concerns I've had with my son traveling here. So thank you for your time. And you did get this map that Haley sent you. It's a better representation of this, but I thought it would be great if you could see that. I'm going to show this to the audience too. So crosswalk, none here. This one's going in, and we need another one down there. So
Thank you, Ms. Rhodes.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you for coming down and expressing your concerns. Appreciate it. Next.
Good afternoon. My name is Carl Holder. I have a building in downtown Pasco and also a property that's adjacent to the boat basin. The shoreline master plan came out and asked for comments, and so my pet peeve over multiple years is that the boat basin has adequate entry of water, but the drain to the boat basin is plugged. It's been plugged for years. And I guess I used the wrong word. I'm sorry. If you look down through the pipe, you can see that you can see the other end. So you would normally say, well, yeah, that pipe is not plugged because you can always see through it. But if the water level in the pipe is at half and the rocks are more than half, then there's no flow through the pipe. So anybody that would look at the quality of the water in the Pasco boat basin would see that the drain to the boat basin is plugged and has been plugged for years. And I think many of you will have known that I've been asking about this for a long, long time. So is there a possibility that we can get some action on that?
Well, Mr. Radke, we want to.
Yeah, we'll get a team out there to look at it and see what our obligations with the Army Corps of Engineers as property owner and that to get that cleaned up. We too looked through and saw the daylight through there, but understanding that half full and rocks on the bottom half. So we'll take a closer look at that and see what we can do to plug it out and work with the Army Corps where needed.
Well, I understand that, and thank you very much. I appreciate you going out there to look at it again. I was out there again today for the umpteenth time, and now's a good time because the water level is fairly low and the pipe is clearly plugged. And the amount of ugliness on top of the water in the boat basin is terrific. It's an infested mess, and hopefully we can get something done. It doesn't look like that big of a job, but can we please get something done on that?
Thank you, Mr. Holder.
Thank you.
If I could add, Mayor, Mr. Holder and I discussed this last week, and he had shared a picture with me that very well illustrated what he was discussing tonight. Of course, the underlying problem, though, is the pipe was at too high an elevation. That pipe needs to be about 2 feet lower than it is to really be effective, and that is difficult to do with the Army Corps, but we can get in there and clean it.
Okay.
The best, so it can operate the best it can.
Yeah. Many times, yeah, it seems like we're kind of got our hands tied too with the other parties that are involved, but as you heard, they'll do what they can to get it unplugged and help out there. I do want to put a little plug in and totally appreciate everybody's comments tonight. We have an app called Ask Pasco now, and I will tell you that app is very, very useful and very helpful. I've talked to multiple people who have asked. I've used it once, and the responses are generally pretty quick. So I just want to put that plug in there for the app. If you can put on your phone, Ask Pasco app, and that would be very helpful as well. So with that, anybody else from the audience? Yes, sir. Good evening.
Hello. How's everybody doing? Hope you're well. My name is Jose Iniguez from Hydrotonics Water, business downtown Pasco, 102 South 3rd Avenue. Just a couple of concerns. One, I wanted to ask just a little bit about the ordinance on loitering.
On what?
On loitering.
Oh, loitering, okay.
Yep, with just the homeless. I mean, just a business owner, I've had them just eating in front of my spot. It does concern people that come into my place. Items that I sell, are, $100 and over items, so they're not just, little things. So, it does, sometimes I've been asked if I'm there. I do have an employee, and I've been asked from clients that if I could be there, so it's kind of interesting. I'm like, well, I have employees there, but they want a mail there. So I'm like, okay. So that to me it has geared me to have to come to the council and let them know that it just shows that they kind of just don't care. Really, they have no, about decency. And so I'm just here to ask for help, from the council about looking at these ordinances and seeing how we can work with the mission. I mean, obviously, something's not working. It seems like they come into the mission and they're out, and now it's our problem.
Okay.
So on the second, I wanted to just first thank you so much, Mayor, for being outspoken about this pandemic. This is very serious, and I was very appreciative of your words. When in your brief 2 weeks ago that you did, I would like to see the other council members, be as forward as this. Speak in public about, because our hospitals are filling up. You talked about having personal nurse in your family. I have doctors myself. I have, cancer research scientists in my family. And it's unfortunate every time you hear people talk down to these folks, as if, they're just some weirdos when they're giving their life, for the betterment of the society. And so I just wanted to thank you, and I just hope the council does more, others, to speak up about this pandemic. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Niguez. I will say this, Mr. Niguez, I am the spokesperson for the council, and if not all, the majority of them are behind me 100% on that, and they're doing their part in allowing for the mayor to speak for the council as a representative. So when I speak in the public like that, I'm speaking for the majority of our councils. I just want to let you know that every one of them are very, very concerned, and I know if I let them all speak right now, they'll say, hey, I would bet that they would agree with me. And if you don't agree with me, you can please speak up. But
Right.
I just want to tell you, our council is very much aware of those concerns, and that is the reason why I can go out and speak. And I know because I'm supported by most of the, if not all, most of the council, and I appreciate your comment there. I would request that you could either get Mr. White to get you, if you give him an email address, he can send you the information on the loitering ordinance, and perhaps he
Wonderful.
can help you, and also him or one of his staff members can help you out with that as well.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. And with that, we'll end the session for visitors, other than those things that are on the agenda items. And next, we'll move over, we'll go, oh, you got one more. Okay, go ahead, ma'am. I'm sorry.
My name is Lucia Gonzalez, and I'm also a business owner downtown Pasco. And I was just wanting to approach today also to ask if there's possibility for any funding for helping any upgrades to any buildings downtown also, just because I also have a building that is not up to code, and I would like to be able to maybe have some growth. And also I was concerned about the codes in downtown Pasco where I'm at. I know that it's being talked about maybe being changed, but I don't know where to look for it or how to find out any more information on how old the code is and move forward from there.
Okay. Well,
So who would I talk to, or
well,
how would I?
I would, City Manager Dave Zabel, would you say Director Rick White maybe, or?
Yeah, you could talk to myself or Rick White, but the downtown plan is, well, let me just ask Rick to give a quick update on the downtown plan.
Yeah, so the downtown master plan is underway. We kicked off last Wednesday. When the speaker mentions codes, I'm not exactly sure I know what that means. But often when people say codes, they think of zoning codes. It's probably more likely that we're talking an issue with the state building code, which of course we have very, very much less ability to control than we do our own zoning codes. However, That being said, the master plan does have a component that will address both zoning in the downtown area and looking at particular ways to probably achieve, I think, some of the things that Ms. Gonzalez might be after. They won't do that with the master plan, but they'll make recommendations for moving forward.
Okay.
So I would just wait until maybe like in the future where they say this master plan has been in effect or going into effect like maybe in 2 years or a year. So that would be the changing of the code, because I'm in like a C2 zoning and I believe it's been that way for many years. That would be to move forward like in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years.
Yeah, the master plan has a 10-month time frame, and again, zoning is one thing, building code is another. So there's two issues. Zoning is under local control, building code isn't. Just want to make that clear.
Because I have both problems. I have zoning and building and everything you can think of. So I just want to know who to turn to and, you know, what the length is. And I was asking, you know, if there is funding, that there was additional funding given to the city, or if there's any loans or grants that we can use to help downtown and make growth, so we can have, you know, people actually spend their money there.
Well, I can appreciate you coming in and speaking and asking. I know, have you applied for the CARES Act, the CARES Fund that is available?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, it is very difficult for this body here to, we can't just say, okay, yeah, we're gonna go and provide money for, you know, all of downtown Pasco. We're doing the best we can with what we got. There's, and I don't know if Mr. Ferguson, I mean, it's very touchy with being able to distribute money to private owners, and even if it's a building that you're renting for somebody else, because there's a gifting of public funds that we have to be real careful with. There's all these requirements that we have to meet. That's why it's been so difficult to even, you know, being able to distribute money from the CARES Act. But I don't know if you can add anything else, Mr. Ferguson. We're trying, but all I could ask you at this time is just to keep trying, please. And I know it's frustrating. I know time is of the essence here. I can tell you that I'm in the same boat in some areas, but all we can do is just keep trying and keep plugging away. And Mr. Ferguson, I don't know if you anything else you can add with that.
The only thing I would just echo is that this is a little different situation now, obviously with COVID and some of the funds that are available. So there are more opportunities than there ever have been. We're still bound by the constitutional requirement to not be able to gift public funds, but the interpretation of a lot of that stuff has definitely broadened with regard to these particular funds and the economic climate that we're in. So yeah, I would certainly encourage folks to get out and participate in all those programs that they can, because they're much different than they used to be.
Thank you. And I would encourage you to keep, you know, Mr. Gonzalez, who now works for the city, and, you know, he's a great resource. Mr. White will help where he can, and just keep trying, playing away. We'll do what we can.
Okay. Usually it's posted on the website, or we just contact through email, correct?
Yes. I'm looking at Mr. White.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much. Next, we'll move on to reports from committees and or officers. Anybody from the council have anything to report they would like to share? I would like to share and say thank you to the committee who that worked with me to help interview some of the candidates for the position for the Pasco Downtown Development Association. I want to just say, and I'm not going to just say it because he's here, but we had candidates that were unbelievable. They were just super qualified candidates. Every one of them did such a great job. And I almost wanted to guarantee them they'd be put in another position if they were willing and able to help. And it seemed like they were very willing to do that too. So looking forward for a position, opening it up for those candidates to please try again. Mr. Gramboy, thank you, and did a wonderful job. And I just want to thank the council that helped me make the selection there as well. So with that, anybody else have any comments?
Mayor, this is Councilmember Roach, and just wanted to report that tomorrow, for, I want to say most of the day, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., Visit Tri-Cities is going to be holding their strategic planning retreat. So there will be, I think we've seen emails about it sent out from city staff, but I'll be there for that from 8 to 1 p.m. tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Roach. Anyone else? If not, then we'll move right along to the first, to 7B, the General Fund Monthly Report. Director Reach, are you on the line tonight?
Yes, can you hear me, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, I can hear you.
Nothing new to report at this point. We are pretty much on track. And like I've been mentioning in the last couple of months, we are looking at the overall permit construction growth, as well as the lack of inventory in both the housing and the automotive industry. So overall, things are pretty much on track as we expected, and nothing new to report, unless, of course, if you have any questions.
Thank you, Director Recha. Any questions or comments from the council for Director Recha?
Yes, this is Councilmember Maloney.
Yes, Mr. Maloney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Signal, when I'm looking at the ARPA tracking portion of that, one of the items there, you know, it's an item we've talked about a lot of that seems to be slow rolling. At number 10, in terms of the life safety assistance for some of the downtown businesses. Do you have any status to update us on what that might be looking like, or what sort of targeted dates we might have for, you know, for a path forward?
Yes, we have had quite a few meetings and discussions on this. And like Mr. Zabel mentioned, and the mayor mentioned as well, we have to kind of walk the line of that gifting of public funds versus a program that the city is running for the safety of our community. And so we have found a solution per se, but we're still working out the details of the program so that it meets the grant guidelines. I would say that probably in the next month and a half, staff should be able to come back to council for several options in the program, or of a program, and have the council discuss and make a decision from one of those options.
I appreciate the update. I do feel like this is taking longer than some of our businesses really do have the bandwidth and the capability of weathering. And so I would encourage staff to move as quickly as possible. I believe that council's been very supportive of that program, among others, and may be willing to be able to ultimately, you know, I guess it's our decision to sign on to additional risk above and beyond maybe what staff would be traditionally comfortable with. So I know I'd be supportive of moving forward, even if there is some potential risk, as long as we have that well understood and outlined. So if there's any way we can move forward quicker, I'd be very supportive of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Maloney. All right, thank you, Director Recha. Next, we're going to be moving to the next item on our agenda, and that's hearings and council actions on ordinances and resolutions relating thereto. And tonight, we're going to be continuing a public hearing on the Cox Family Land LLC annexation. Director Rick White, do you want to refresh us on that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. And just very briefly, this item was continued from the August 16th council meeting. The 115-acre annexation located at the southwest corner there of Capitol and Foster Wells Road houses a portion of the site that the research plant will be doing their major industrial expansion on. So the recommendation, of course, is to adopt the proposed ordinance that annexes the property. A little bit later in the agenda, there is an item for a zoning assignment as recommended by the hearing examiner. But this proposed site is within the old 2008 urban growth area, and so there's no danger of it being affected by an appeal on those boundaries.
Thank you, Director White. And now we'll ask if any of the council members have any questions or comments on this topic before I allow the public to provide any comments if they would like. If not, I'm gonna go ahead and open up this this hearing for the public comment if there's any, and make the first call. Second call for the public. Anybody would like to make a comment on this topic? And a third call. All right, so I'm going to close the public hearing. And now I will ask a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Barajas.
Absolutely, Mayor. I move to adopt ordinance number 4546 relating to annexation and annexing certain real property to the city of Pasco and further authorized publication by summary only.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Barajas. And so I have a motion to adopt ordinance number 4546. Do I hear a second?
This is Councilmember Roach, and I will second.
Seconded by Councilmember Roach.
Mr. Mayor, sorry, if I just 1 second, I just want to make sure that council is completely aware of the original resolution that was passed mentioned bonded indebtedness would be assumed. As the petition went out, that was not part of what was in the petition. So this ordinance reflects the accuracy of the petition, but I just want to make sure that the council is aware that that didn't go out. It's a distinction without a difference because there is no bonded indebtedness assumption out there. So. To be assumed, I should say. So I just want to make sure council's aware of that before they vote.
Thank you for that, Mr. Ferguson. So with Mr. Ferguson's comments, anybody have any questions before we go to the vote? Because there's been a motion and it's been seconded. All right, thank you. All those in favor of adopting ordinance number 4546 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same
Aye.
sign. And just for my satisfaction, Councilmember Serrano? Are you?
I said aye.
Okay, thank
I don't
you.
know if you hear me.
I just had this
Okay.
conscious thing of that, like, we couldn't hear you for some reason. I wanted to make sure that you were available. So with that,
Nope, still here, thanks.
it passes unanimously. Thank you. Next, we got a public hearing ordinance for street vacation portion of Rainier Avenue, Big Apple Travel Stop, in the King City Truck Stop area. So with that, before opening the public hearing, I will ask for a report from Mr. White.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. This is an item that deals with unused right-of-way of Rainier Street. It's located right near the Karchner off-ramp and Industrial Way. The property, the surrounding property and the adjacent property is all zoned I-1 Industrial Light. And the purpose of the vacation is to develop a truck and travel center, a major one at this proposed site. So the proposed ordinance will vacate the right-of-way, and staff recommends council's favorable consideration of this.
Thank you, Director White. So does council have any questions of Mr. Director White before I open this to public hearing? Let's see. I actually have a question. Can you go back to that picture, please? Yes.
So if I can describe this further, Mr. Mayor, Rainier goes right through the middle of the site, and remember, north on this particular view is to your left.
Okay.
But Rainier, or the proportion of Rainier to be vacated is right through the middle of the site there, separating the two colored vicinity maps.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, thank you. Answered my question. Any other questions or comments from council? All right, with that, and then I'm gonna go ahead and open the hearing for comments from the public. Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak up on this topic? So that was the first call, second call for the public, and last call for the public. All right, then I'm gonna close this hearing. And with that, I would entertain a motion, Mayor Pro Tem?
Absolutely, Mayor. I move to adopt ordinance number 4547, vacating a portion of Rainier Avenue and further authorize publication by summary only.
Okay, so there's a motion to adopt ordinance number 4547. Do I hear a second?
Councilmember Maloney, I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilmember Maloney. And before we go to the vote, I just want to say that I'm super excited when I see these kind of businesses that are coming in and making our city more available and just a greater city for the quality of life for everyone and for the people coming in and out. I'm just excited about this other stuff. So with that said, all those in favor of approving or adopting ordinance number 4547, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. Thank you, council. Next, we're gonna go to item number 9 on the agenda, and that's ordinances and resolutions not relating to hearings. And the first one is the ordinance for the Cox Family Land LLC zoning determination. And I see that this is a quasi judicial. Mr. Ferguson, would you like to?
Great, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so we, after the last few of these, we thought we might make this process a little more expedited and easier. So if you don't mind, I'll just kind of walk council through this so that we don't have to actually kind of go one by one like we did the last few times. But long and short of it is, this is a quasi judicial hearing, which is to render a final decision on the materials presented. It's a proceeding in which the council defines legal rights, duties, or privileges of specific parties. The appearance of fairness doctrine, the appearance of fairness doctrine applies and states that it must be fair in 3 respects, both form, substance, and appearance. To which council members should consider whether they have potential conflicts as follows: A, demonstrated bias for or against any of the parties. B, any direct or indirect financial interest in the outcome of the proceeding which would affect the council members personally. C, whether there has been any prejudgment of issues prior to hearing the facts. D, whether there has been any ex parte contact with anyone other than staff prior to this hearing. And E, any other conflict which a council member believes would prevent them from hearing this matter fairly and impartially. So at this time, if any council member has any of these concerns or disclosures, now would be the time to make those known.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. So hopefully every council member was able to get all of that. Is there anybody that would like to make a comment to what Mr. Ferguson just informed us of? If not, thank you so much.
Hearing none, then are there any members of the public seeking to disqualify any member of council from participating in the proceedings? Doesn't look like it. Looks like we're good to go.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Ferguson. So with that, we'll go to Director White. Would you like to give us an insight on that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And as mentioned, of course, with the preceding annexation, this issue actually establishes the industrial light zoning classification for the Cox Family Land annexation, which will allow the research plant to complete their expansion. And again, it is for a larger area than just the research site itself, but our comprehensive plan indicates industrial zoning on this entire property. The hearing examiner conducted a hearing on the proposal in mid-July and has forwarded council, of course, a recommendation of approval.
Thank you, Director White. So with that, any questions or comments from the council on this topic? If not, I think I'm ready. Mayor Pro Tem for a motion.
Absolutely, Mayor. I move to adopt ordinance number 4548, assigning I-1 zoning to the Cox Family Land LLC annexation area as recommended by the hearing examiner and further authorize publication by summary only.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So there's a motion to adopt ordinance number 4548. Do I hear a second?
This is Councilmember Roach. I'll second.
Okay, so it's seconded by Councilwoman Roach. So all those in favor of adopting ordinance number 4548, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Next, we go to the ordinance PMC edition wheeled all-terrain vehicles. And tonight we have Chief Ken Roski with us that would like to share that, share an insight on that.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor and council members and the public that's here and watching as well. This came to you a few weeks ago for discussion after council and even law enforcement was approached by the public for clarification and with confusion and clarification on the RCW, the state code that is written, which requires local jurisdictions to adopt the ordinance for those type of vehicles to be driven on the roadways. So I thought I would give just a brief overview of the ordinance and what is a wheeled vehicle and what isn't. The ordinance does talk about, in the council agenda report, talks about the description of what a legal definition is, and some highlights on the slide there. The key is that it is a four-wheeled vehicle with four wheels, and it's has a non-straddling seat, which would separate it from other type of off-road or all-terrain vehicles, as prescribed in the RCW. Maybe it's easier to try and explain what they're not and what is not legal. So things such as dune buggies, traditional quads, snowmobiles, ATVs as such would not be legalized on the roadways. Restrictions for use, they're going to be only allowed, and this is adopted out of the RCW into the city code, they're only allowed on city streets with 35 miles an hour speed limits and less. They must have a seat belt or an approved helmet if a seat belt isn't available on the vehicle. Proof of liability insurance, 18 years old, and a valid driver's license. There are special equipment that is needed to make them legal. Headlights, brakes, mirrors, horns, spark arresters and mufflers. Mayor, I know you'd asked about mufflers, and we did find the actual RCW, which puts some restrictions on the type of muffling system that must be on them. And then, of course, to be allowed on the road, they have to have more than just an off-road vehicle sticker. They have to go through the process of getting an on-road approved license, which means the vehicle would have to be inspected by a authorized dealer or repair shop, and then the owners of the vehicle wishing to license them would need to take that certified form and actually obtain a on-road vehicle tab. And you'll see demonstrated the difference is the blue, lots of off-road tabs for trail use. In order to operate on our city streets, they will need to have the orange on-road use as well. So with that, a quick overview, but I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
I have a quick question, Chief Roski. So for the on-road use license tabs, that's a separate fee that they would have to pay at the license department?
I think it's a joint fee once it becomes relicensed and it's retitled. I'm not sure the fee structure is set by Department of Licensing though.
And so a legal vehicle that's in under 35 miles an hour in town, they need to have that tab or else they'll get cited. Is that correct?
Yes, and it has to start with the inspection first, and then be licensed with that tab.
Well, I know this has been an issue. It's been ongoing for a long time, and there's been a lot of uncertainty. So I would really like to motivate those citizens that are interested in this to please get informed. Call the police department. Call the police department. They can help you out. Make sure that we keep things in order. And one of my biggest concerns was I just imagine having. I know that a lot of these special all-terrain vehicles have special mufflers on them. Then I started thinking about it. Well, my Harley's pretty. I got a Harley that's kind of loud. One of my son's bikes, and so it's the same thing. Anyway, I think we can do this safely. We can do this in a very orderly manner. Let's just consider your neighborhood and the neighborhoods you're going through. And I appreciate you guys going through this process. I know City Manager Dave Zabel. This has been brought to his attention a couple of times, and thank you for moving forward on this. And the help of Eric Ferguson and everybody involved to make sure we got all the legal ramifications in place and making sure everybody knows about it. So with that, any other council members that have any questions or comments? All right, if not, then I would entertain a motion.
Absolutely, Mayor. I move to adopt ordinance number 4549, creating a new chapter 10.100, wheeled all-terrain vehicles within the Pasco Municipal Code, and further authorize publication by summary only.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Barajas. So there's a motion to adopt ordinance number 4549. Do I hear a second?
This is Councilman Milne. I'll second that.
It's seconded by Councilmember Milne. So with that, all those in favor of adopting ordinance number 4549 signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Next on the agenda item is ordinance Columbia Riverwalk Apartments Properties R3 and I1 to R4. Director Rick White, would you like to get us going on this one?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And this rezone request involves roughly 10.5 acres. It's located just south of the intersection of 20th Avenue and A Street. This was one of the applications that was waiting for the completion of the city's updated comprehensive plan. The intent of the applicant and developers are to develop additional multifamily units that match the existing, or at least are very, very similar to the existing Riverwalk apartments, the first two phases of which are complete and full, I might add. The hearing examiner conducted a public hearing on this on August 11th and has forwarded to council a recommendation of approval.
Thank you, Director White. Any questions or comments from the council?
Mr. Mayor, yeah, this is also a quasi judicial matter, so I just wanted to give council members a chance to also disclose any or make any disclosures that they might have at this time related to the same factors that we mentioned earlier.
Anything anybody would like to bring to our attention on this matter?
Okay, great. Any members of the public wishing to disqualify? Seeing none.
Seeing none, we'll proceed. So with that, if there's no questions or comments from the council, I'm ready to entertain a motion.
Absolutely, Mayor. I move to adopt ordinance number 4550, rezoning lots 1 through 6 of short plat 2020 through 29 records of Franklin County, Washington from R3 and I1 to R4.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Barajas. And we have a motion to adopt ordinance number 4550. Do I hear a second?
Councilmember Maloney, I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilmember Maloney. All those in favor of adopting ordinance number 4550 signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. And the next item is a quasi judicial. Would you like to go through the process again?
Great, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So yes, this would be the opportunity for any council members who have any disclosures they'd like to make based on those previously mentioned factors. This would be the time to make those known.
All right, so council, anybody would like to bring anything to our attention on this matter? If not?
Hearing none, any members of the audience wish to seek to disqualify? Seeing none?
Seeing none, we can proceed. Thank you. So Director White, you want to get us going on this one?
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. This rezone request involves a little less than 7 acres, and the rezone request itself is to take the existing commercial 1 C1 zoning and change that to high density residential R4. It's located about 500 feet or so north of Sandifer Parkway, between Bedford Street and Midland Lane, and the intent of the developers are to construct duplex-style multifamily units on the site with an internal circulation system. The hearing examiner, again, recommended approval based on the public hearing conducted roughly mid-August, and that's what the proposed ordinance would do upon council's approval.
Thank you, Director White. And just for the public, these reviews from the hearing officer pretty much give us all the information we need to make sure that all the environmental impacts and the impacts to our citizens, that all these things were looked at, and that this type of change would be appropriate. And I also believe that this helps in other ways as well, just to make sure we can bring in more housing, more residential, more affordable living. No?
Our schools are already overcrowded.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
5 portables already, a brand new school's brought
Yeah.
5 portables. We need to put a pause. You're developing
Okay.
down, the county's developing down.
All right, we're fine. I understand where you're going. Thank you. So with that, any questions or comments from council? If not, then I would entertain a motion.
Thank you, Mayor. Quick question to staff for Mr. Ferguson. I do not have a ordinance number on this one.
My apologies. When we republished the agenda this morning, I didn't have that in there. So it's ordinance number 4551.
Thank you. Okay. I move to adopt ordinance number 4551, rezoning lots 4 through 7 of binding site plan 2002-05, records of Franklin County, Washington, from C1 to R4.
This is Alvarado, I'll second.
Okay, so there's been a motion to adopt ordinance number 4551, and it's seconded by Councilmember Alvarado. All those in favor of adopting ordinance number 4551 signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Okay, we've got one, Councilmember Serrano with an A. So with that, the ordinance passes. Thank you. Next, we'll go to a resolution. We have Sun Willows Golf Course ground lease with Corsco. Director Zach Ratify, would you like to fill us in on that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. The item brought before you this evening is the resolution to ratify the ground lease for the Sun Willows Golf Course. This item was brought to council twice before, most recently at the workshop on July 12th of this year. Since that workshop, we've been finalizing some minor details with Corsco and getting a final legal review of the lease, and it is ready for review of the council and vote this evening. So since about 2 months have passed since our workshop on this item, just wanted to provide council with a quick rundown. Currently, we've operated the Sun Willows Golf Course under a management agreement with Corsco. And under that agreement, Corsco hires the staff, they do the maintenance, they are in control of all the general operations of the golf course from a golf perspective. They do the collection of play fees, they establish our rates, they do the food and beverage services. The city of Pasco in this regard obviously owns the ground. We own all the facilities, the buildings, everything under there. We're also in charge of all the finance and accounting for the golf course. So this is your big picture items, your yearly capital expenditures, but it's also your daily cash registers and items in inventory, whether it's food or merchandise. So some of the issues over the last couple of years is it's been a big financial commitment on city staff. The equivalent of a half full-time employee, so 20 hours a week, working directly with the golf course on daily cash management. Corsco also needs some additional permissions from the city or due to public funding of some of the programs. Their operations are a little bit limited in what they offer and operate to the golfing public. So this could be specialized tournaments, prizes, gift card programs, and special promotions would be are limited under the city financial parameters. Also, the city bears great risk at our yearly audit with the state. It's hard to manage the money, and there's a lot of risk managing daily money on that when it comes to our yearly audits. So the term of this ground lease is a $100,000 per year base lease. The city will get 10% of gross revenue should revenues exceed 1.5 million. An average for the last number of years has been, mainly good years. We've had some snow and some pandemic related years, but we've averaged, Sun Willows has averaged over 1.7 million in revenue for most of the last number of years. Each party also contributes $25,000 to an interest-bearing fund for capital repairs. So these would be just any of your general building maintenance items that come up to also large-scale irrigation repairs, that sort of thing that have a sort of a rainy day fund set aside for those. The term for this lease is an initial base of 20 years with 3 5-year extensions worked into the lease should Corsco meet the tenets of the lease with satisfactory performance of the contract. So some of the benefits that we've seen here with the lease is it would be stable city revenue. Past years have been volatile. Obviously 2020 we've had significant days of smoke and obviously some COVID related shutdowns of the course. So 2020 was a negative year for the golf course fund. Same with 2017, for example, had a number of days throughout the winter. Tri-Cities is one of the special areas where you can golf during the winter. But 2017 had the most snow in 60 years, so it was a loss for us as well. Under the lease, the city funds would have $100,000 as base rent, no matter what. Corsco does bear that risk, so they bear the risk of the operations and the finances under the ground lease area, under the ground lease that we're proposing. And then another benefit, and I guess another piece of the terms too, is the city gets up to 4 full use days per year. So that's not to say that city staff will knock off and go play golf, but really those are days that you could utilize for fundraising. The recreation department can hold a golf tournament for scholarship programs for youth, to participate in sports and events, that sort of thing. Youth events such as the state cross-country tournaments held every year at the Sun Willows Golf Course as well. A lot of statewide events come for our weather in our central location. So Corsco and the city will also be working on a capital improvement plan in the coming months. This capital improvement plan will address upgrades to the pro shop and restaurant and modernization of those facilities as well. So from an accountability, Corsco and the city of Pasco will still remain in partners, consistent partners working with each other on this lease. The lease does explicitly say that Corsco will maintain the golf course for affordable and accessible public golf and provide to the city an annual report and an annual meeting on rates for play, capital repairs, anything that was done, and changes in maintenance. So Corsco would be responsible for all capital repairs on our facilities. Anything above $100,000 in repairs, they have to come to the city to discuss how to address that. But this annual report would cover, hey, we fixed that wall in the bathroom, we replaced that sink, we did some repairs here, and any changes of maintenance to the course. The lease also states that, as I said before, the course must remain public and operated in a manner based on the economics of the course and local market. So in those sort of technical lease terms, that means the rates that we've seen are typically going to be what's going to be experienced with the Corsco full ground lease. There is a provision within the lease too that if there are any discrepancies in any changes of rates or any changes in the daily operations of the course, then the city and Corsco have to sit down and have that discussion, get together to work on amenable terms for the community. So the city will still remain partners in this to ensure that Sun Willows is the Pasco City public golf course. The city will remain partners to ensure that the rates for play will remain within the established market. And should council vote favorably for this ground lease this evening, our expectation for the commencement date would be September 15th. With that, I'll take any questions from the mayor or city council.
Thank you, Director Radkai. Council, any questions or comments for Director Radkai?
This is Councilmember Maloney.
Yes, Councilmember Maloney.
I just want to speak in favor of this. I mean, when you look at the numbers, I think it makes a lot of sense. It's always been an odd question of why is the city in the business of running a golf course? And while it's clearly a good community asset, this seems to make a much better balance between public sector and private sector for providing good recreation for the city and its residents. So it's very much in favor of this. I think it looks great, and I applaud Mr. Ratkai and other staff members for their creativity in finding better ways to run the city. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Maloney. Anyone else? Well, this subject is near and dear to my heart. As a place who utilizes Sun Willows quite a bit, I know that Corsco is a reputable golf management company. That many members there I've spoke with are satisfied with the services they provide. I hope that we can maintain a good relationship to ensure that our citizens are, and not only Pasco, but the Tri-Cities are getting a good service and an affordable round of golf in, so that they can improve the quality of their life. But One quick question on the $25,000 that both Corso and City of Pasco will be, what did you call that fund?
So it's the capital replacement fund,
Capital
capital improvement fund, yeah.
So I'm assuming that, will that be used every year for improvements of capital items?
Well, hopefully the entire sum will not be used, but that will be in there for usage of that. So whether they spend $5,000 on repairs or $50,000 on repairs, that money was set aside to make sure that there's really as minimal interruptions to play and operation of the course as possible. We didn't want to get into a sort of significant capital damage or damage to the irrigation system that would prompt it to be closed for a month. So having money set aside for large-scale repairs, but also for small-scale repairs should ensure smooth operation.
Well, thank you. Well, I'm going to be voting in favor of this, but mainly because I agree with Councilmember Maloney. This is a business that, of course, a golf company should, a business should take care of. It's not really the function of a city to take care of the day-to-day operations, although we'll still be involved. But looking forward to those reports to get that information to make sure that our citizens are still being served the way they need to be served for those who enjoy that type of activity. So thank you for that, Director Ratke. So with that, Council, Mayor Pro Tem, I'll entertain a motion.
Absolutely, Mayor. I move to approve resolution number 4090, approving the lease agreement with Sun Willow's Pasco Golf LLC for the professional management and operation of Sun Willow's golf course.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So there's a motion to approve resolution number 4090. Do I hear a second?
Serrano, I'll second it.
So seconded by Councilmember Serrano. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? It passes unanimously. Thank you. Next, we go to item F, resolution, interlocal agreement for the Quad City Stormwater Grant application. Director Worley, would you like to kick us off with that?
You bet. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This is a quick item. Most everybody knows that the city is under a state stormwater permit. And part of that permit is in the latest permit is we have to do an effectiveness study on some of the stormwater best management practices that we utilize in the Tri-Cities area. All of the 4 cities are required to do the same thing. All the Quad cities got together, all 4 cities, and decided that it might be better to combine the effort and try to do an effectiveness study for all 4 cities. And in order to do that, the idea was to get a grant application prepared and submitted to the Department of Ecology to get funding from a grant to be able to help with that effectiveness study. And so this interlocal agreement is for the purpose of sharing the cost of the development of that grant application. A consultant was hired to prepare the grant application. The cost of the consultant was around $5,000, and this interlocal agreement is to agree to split that cost equally among all 4 cities. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director Worley. Any questions or comments from the council? If not, then I would entertain a motion, Mayor Pro Tem.
Absolutely, Mayor. I move to approve resolution number 4091, authorizing the city manager to execute an interlocal agreement between the cities of Kennewick, Richland, Pasco, and West Richland for the administration and funding of the Quad City Stormwater Effectiveness Study and Water Quality Stormwater Grant Application.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So there's a motion to approve resolution number 4091. Do I hear a second?
Serrano, I'll second it again.
Seconded by Councilmember Serrano. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, council, and everyone for getting us through that long list. Next, we go to unfinished business, none listed. A new business, none listed, and we'll go to miscellaneous discussion. City Manager Dave Zabel, would you like to start us off with miscellaneous discussion?
Just one item this evening, Mayor. We do have an executive session. Want to note that, and then we did receive something or a communication from Washington State Redistricting Commission today that had some dates on it that I think council want to be mindful of, but first date, I think that, and most instructive, September 21. The commissioners will be coming out with their respective legislative district maps. And we have a pretty short turnaround on that, about a month, and that's the deadline. About a month later is the deadline for input from the public. We've talked about this a little bit before. Council previously had selected 3 council members to provide input to the district and commission before. And we can do this one of 2 ways. We got obviously a workshop assigned on the 21st. We could talk about it that evening. Wouldn't really give us much time to look at it. We could push it out into or follow up with another one at the first workshop in October, but we start to bump up against that deadline. One other option council may want to consider reconvening their prior subcommittee if those members are still interested in doing that, or select a new committee. But council had indicated previously that they would want to provide input on the map alternatives that are presented by the commission. So I kind of dropped that on you tonight. I don't know that you need to make a decision tonight. Maybe we can make that decision on the 21st, but I wanted council members thinking about it.
Well, thank you, City Manager Dave Zabel. Why don't why don't we take that into consideration, and maybe we could just email Dave with their suggestions on when we could meet to discuss that issue. How's that? Or does anybody have anything they'd like to share with us about that?
Is Councilmember Maloney?
Yes, Councilmember Maloney.
Thank you, Mayor Martinez. I was on part of the group that was provided comments before at the kind of the subcommittee. I think that was effective. We were able to have some conversations between the 3 of us without, creating a quorum and going into a public meeting space. So if council is comfortable with that, I would support that direction again. If we need to make a stronger statement as a full council before weighing in and as a full body, maybe the subcommittee could inform that and help craft that conversation with the full council.
And if I remember correctly, it was you, Councilwoman Roach, and who was the third one?
It's Mayor Pro Tem Barajas, I believe.
Well, if you're able to, well, what do you think, Council? Councilwoman Roach and Barajas, would you be amenable or available for that subcommittee?
This is Mayor Pro Tem Barajas. That is a yes on my part.
Okay.
This is Councilmember Roach, and I can be available for that.
Okay, so there you go. We got a subcommittee available. They can bring it to the council.
So week of 9/21, sometime we'll, once the maps are out, we can meet with the subcommittee, take the time they need, and then we can be back first meeting in October with subcommittee's thoughts on the map alternatives and recommendations. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yep, makes sense.
Okay.
Anything else?
That's all I had.
Thank you. And I'd just like to make a quick invitation, and I wish I knew what the fund, the charity that they're doing it for. It just slipped my mind. But on Saturday there's a Corvette show that'll be going on at the Columbia Park, and then they'll be moving over for a big ceremony at the Red Lion in Pasco. And the thing I want to note about this is that this fundraiser, if they don't do it this year, they'll for sure do it next year, where they'll meet the $1 million fund charity raised for this charity that they're doing it for. And I'll bring it back and let everybody know what that was. But just want to let everybody know there's going to be a lot of Corvettes in town on Saturday, so we're looking forward to that. If there's no other miscellaneous discussion, then we'll go to item 13, and if you give me a moment here. And item 13 is for executive session, and we do have a need for an executive session tonight. It is to have a discussion with legal counsel about current or potential litigations per RCW 42.30.110(1I). And again, this meeting will need about 20 minutes. And it is 8:25, so we'll be back at approximately 8:45. And with that, thank you for coming tonight. For those that are in the audience, And we'll be back at 8:45 to close the meeting. So with that,
And for council, I think John Funfard sent out a link to the executive session meeting.
yes. Did everybody get that link for the executive session?
Yes.
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 All right, then we will go into executive session. Thank you very much. Okay, so we are back from our executive session. Appreciate everybody's time here at our City of Pasco meeting. It is 8:46 and this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.